Thank you all very much. The next president is going to be confronted with an unforeseen challenge. That's almost certain. It could be a pandemic, a major natural disaster, or an attack on our country. The question for South Carolinians and Americans is, who do you want to have sitting behind the big desk in the Oval Office? Because that's the question. It's not the things that we're talking about today. It's the great challenge that may happen. I believe I will have a steady hand as Commander-in-Chief and President of the United States. I will unite this country around common purposes, because I did it as governor of the state of Florida. When I was governor, we had 8 hurricanes and 4 tropical storms in 16 months. Our state was on its back. We recovered far faster than what people thought because we led. We ran to the challenge rather than cutting and running. That's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need someone with a servant's heart that has a backbone that isn't going to focus on polls and focus groups, is going to focus on the American people to keep them safe and secure. I ask for your vote next Saturday.
Well, I want to thank the people of South Carolina. You've been fantastic. And look, what I want you to know is I'm going to send a lot of power, money, and influence back to where we all live. But as I've traveled around South Carolina, I've noticed something. You know, it's that people have a sense that you're not going to wait on a president. You know, when I was a kid, we didn't wait on presidents to come to that little blue-collar town and fix things. You know, the Lord made all of us special. The Lord wants us to be connected. I believe we're part of a very big mosaic. And I'll send the power back. And whoever gets elected president here, hopefully we'll take care of the issue of jobs and wages and Social Security and the border. But the spirit of America rests in all of us. It's in our guts. It's taking care of our children. It's taking care of the lady next door who just lost her husband. It's fixing the schools where we live and telling kids to stay off of drugs. You see, I think what the Lord wants is for us to engage. And in America, the spirit of America doesn't come from the top down. The spirit of America rests in us. And I want to call on everyone in America to double down and realize that you were made special to heal this country and lift it for everyone. Thank you all very much, and I hope I can have your vote in South Carolina.
So I was born and raised in Oklahoma, but I'm sure glad to be in Texas tonight. All 3 of my brothers served in military bases here in Texas. That was their ticket to the middle class. Me, I got my big opportunity about a half mile down the road from here at the University of Houston, back when it cost $50 a semester. For a price that I could pay for on a part-time waitressing job, I got to finish my 4-year degree and I became a special needs teacher. And after law school, my first big job was back here in Houston. By then, I had 2 little kids. And when childcare nearly brought me down, my Aunt Bee moved in and saved us all. The paths to America's middle class have gotten a lot smaller and a lot narrower. Today, service members are preyed upon by predatory lenders. Students are crushed by debt and families cannot afford childcare. I know what's broken, I know how to fix it, and I'm going to lead the fight to get it done.
In America today, everything revolves around the almighty dollar. Our schools, our hospitals, our media, even our government. It's why we don't trust our institutions anymore. We have to get our country working for us again instead of the other way around. We have to see ourselves as the owners and shareholders of this democracy rather than inputs into a giant machine. When you donate money to a presidential campaign, what happens? The politician spends the money on TV ads and consultants, and you hope it works out. It's time to trust ourselves more than our politicians. That's why I'm going to do something unprecedented tonight. My campaign will now give a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month for an entire year to 10 American families, someone watching this at home right now. If you believe that you can solve your own problems better than any politician, go to yang2020.com and tell us how $1,000 a month will help you do just that. This is how we will get our country working for us again, the American people.
Okay. Now, given that, what kind of reaction did you have to what you saw? When you think about that definition that you came up with, who was the closest of those four candidates to your definition? Somebody want to share?
John Kasich.
Okay, and why was that, Carol?
Why? Because what I heard was us, not I, as he was speaking, that he was giving credit to, my glasses on to see what I wrote. He credits citizens for acting and taking care of themselves. And he wants to send the power back to the people, to us, to help make America great.
Okay,
Now, this I heard a lot of, to me, I.
okay, so that matched your definition the best out of all of those candidates.
I
Did
think
it,
so.
did it surprise you?
No.
Okay, good enough. Rosemary, did I see your hand go up?
Yeah, I thought that Jeb Bush spoke more to the ideal candidate we had created, only because he spoke with confidence, and he provided experiences. Well, he communicated and spoke with confidence about providing experiences of how he had already dealt with situations and activities, etc., in an executive position. And then he asked for the vote.
Okay, did it surprise you that you chose Jeb Bush?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, how about somebody else? Out of the candidates there, who best matched your definition?
I just put it in chat, and also I did also, and I didn't want to say it, take that back, that Jeb Bush actually came across that way to me as well, and I am as surprised as heck.
Okay, and is anyone else?
I mean, I think the two top were Jeb and Elizabeth Warren, but
Well, that's an interesting comparison.
it is only
What
because,
made you choose one, and then what made you choose the other?
well, Jeb Bush, because yeah, being the governor, he has a lot more experience as far as, being the head of the state and, figuring stuff out in an emergency. And I just didn't, I didn't like that his only example were hurricanes, like, and I was, got to mix it up a little bit, but, and then Elizabeth, because she talked about, she had to go back to work and, what she had to do in the different, obstacles that she had to overcome to become a lawyer. But they were weak, though. I just think that the little bit of time they had, they just were weak. They were playing to their base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was, I don't know.
Well, I would suggest that it's not just playing to their base, but they spend a lot of time preparing themselves in terms of the exact wording that they want to use to appeal to the largest number of people they possibly can. And they also spend a lot of time on body language. And I think if you think back, there's very different body language from each one of those candidates, which is one of those subconscious things that influences how you view somebody who's making the case for themselves as a leader in the debate situations. So,
right.
Any more comments about that? Rosemary, did you have your hand up? Go ahead.
I to piggyback what you had just said and what Janice had said, I immediately, after hearing the four folks, I immediately, in terms of Jeb and John, went back to, they were also playing to Trump. at that time. And I think that a lot of their response had to do with what was going on in the moment. So, like what John said, and it turned me off because it was almost like a bribe. I'll send money to South Carolina and I'll do this and I'll do that. And that turned me off with Andrew Yang as well, like a bribe for the vote. I also appreciated Elizabeth Warren's focus on the women, because women, they know in terms of data collection, excuse me, about women getting out to vote and those things that are negatively affecting women, she's going to help with, like daycare or the cost of daycare and the inability to advance in her, a woman's inability to advance in her career and what she aspires to be, because she has the majority of responsibility in terms of childcare. So, and the cost of living and maintaining home. So I also looked at those things, and it did surprise me in terms of my choice.
Okay, Evelyn, had you raised your hand before too, or was I?
Well, I guess I have a problem with this whole comparison because I didn't hear, they didn't tell us what the question was that these people were answering. They're each in different places in different times. John Kasich, I couldn't even listen to him because as soon as he said, God wants us to blah, blah, my brain turned off and I just couldn't even hear him after he said that. But I think I find it dangerous for us to be comparing these candidates and what we think of the candidates based on this little clip, because I don't even know what they were asked, what they were answering.
Yeah, I get
But
what you're. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, but wasn't this just an exercise to experience the student who is watching and getting them to compare and be discerning, actually, to be discerning of what they're hearing and seeing and whatever they're taking in. That's so for me, this little exercise didn't bother me.
No, I agree with you there, Rosemary. Having the, I guess I reacted to Pat saying, when you see this, you're going to be surprised because you're going to see things different from what you thought 4 years ago. And that's obviously not what we're going to say to the students, because 4 years ago, the students were, in middle school. So what we're saying to the students is, look at these and see what you think. Is that what we're doing?
No, it's more, you now have come up with a definition of what you think is the ideal leader. And then here are 4 people who are trying to meet that ideal. Which one is the closest to what you felt was the ideal? And maybe I didn't say that clearly enough, but that is the purpose, to get them to see that you can have your ideas first about what a good leader is before you listen. And if you do, then you're not going to be as influenced by those subconscious things as if you just, listen to either the speeches at the debate or what your family says around the table or whatever. You can make your own decisions based on the things that you care about in a leader.
Well, yeah, so I would want to be careful in presenting this to students to say, you've thought about what you want a leader to be. Here are some short clips that were taken from candidates talking about themselves. Think about how they did in light of what you're looking for. So we're not asking them to judge these candidates.
Correct. We're asking them to select the closest one. Did the others of you feel that I was, what message, don't answer that one. What message did you think you were supposed to hear when you watched these? I just want to make sure that I wasn't misleading, because if I was, then I'm going to have to be very specific about the wording in the teacher's notes, so that doesn't happen, so that kind of confusion doesn't happen. Go ahead, Rosemary.
I wasn't confused. I thought that I thought that the directions were clear. And I can see Evelyn's concern if you're talking about 17 and 18-year-olds and putting that before them. Perhaps what might be helpful is to put other emojis in front of, as opposed to these people's faces, to to say, you know, they could say the same thing, but it could be like cartoon caricatures or something. To, you know, of course, men for the thing and a woman, and just let them speak their piece. And then also ask what would be the difference. And now that you have heard different people, are they different from what you thought was an ideal candidate, or something like that?
That's a good thought.
To frame it for a 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah, piggybacking on that idea, what you would have to make sure they understood is that they're really only getting half the message if they're just hearing the words, because the viewing, the seeing the body language is also really an important part of how we perceive a person who is trying to run for office. But that's a good point. I mean, if there's enough time, it might be really interesting to have them hear the audio first, and then watch the video and see if they see any change. That's fascinating.
That's good.
To me,
That's good. That's a good idea, I think.
Okay, I'll work on that. That means we leave something else out. So
Evelyn, do you think that would work?
Well, as you were talking about that, I was reflecting on each one. The video itself isn't the same, because it's whoever was taping these. There were little lines about the backgrounds of the people, and those are not chosen by the candidates. Those are chosen by whoever was televising the debates. So they were picking out things. So again, so we're not judging how the candidates present themselves completely. I mean, because it's first of all, it's just 1 minute of them talking. Second, the way they're being photographed is determined by the people who are running the debate. The lines that are describing them, so and so is the governor of this and that, this person did this in 2010, kind of random information. I don't know.
You know, maybe what I need to do is go back and look at the video clips and see if there's something that I can extract from the performances myself. But
yeah, no, I don't want you to take this too much to heart.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just my reaction.
I do understand what you're saying, is that it's hard if you're trying to make a comparison to do so with selections that have made randomly. But I think the purpose was to get kids to try to see if they could kind of fit one of those people into the category, into the imaginary president that they have created. But this has been really helpful discussion for me. So I will look back at this part and see if we can do it better. Okay, this next part is something that you can add on if you have enough time in a class period. And if you do, it is really fun to do. If you can't do it yourself and you've got a teacher who's willing to do it, I think they'll find it a very interesting simulation to work on. So we start out by saying, okay, yay, your candidate's in office. And the thing is, you've been there for maybe 9 months, and you've had enough time to get settled, but not so long that you've established yourself as a really wonderful president. And then a new crisis emerges. Now, I would normally put you into breakout rooms again, but again, I'm running out of time because I love the discussion that we have, and that takes up some of the teaching time. But what you're going to do is choose a crisis that is really likely to come up. And what I would do if I were doing the whole simulation is to have the kids work on a Jamboard, and on that Jamboard find photographs of crises that have come up. So you can look, for example, let me see if I have one of the Jamboards still up. No, but you can look on the left-hand side, and there's a little icon for images, and you can, you know, search an image like you would do if you're putting something into a letter. So maybe the California fires, for example. So you can say to the kids on this Jamboard, look for some pictures of some crises that you are aware of that we are either facing right now or could easily face in the future. So the intent is to have the kids try to anticipate some of the things that are likely to happen sometime in the near future, preferably during the term that the person is going to be elected for, but you never know. I mean, who could have predicted a worldwide pandemic, you know? Although I will, when you see what is in the slideshow, which was written before the pandemic, I think it's going to be kind of eye-opening. All right, so you have a choice of one of 4 crises. Here's the first one. You have to imagine that the drinking water in several major cities becomes undrinkable because of a devastating infrastructure compromise. Sound familiar? Second, imagine that a foreign nation has been able to hack into the Department of Homeland Security and obtain sensitive information about every single person residing in the United States. Or the nation has nearly reached herd immunity when a new variant originating in Southern Europe emerges. It is more deadly, more easily transmitted, and the current vaccines are not protective. Or the fourth one is, after being dormant for years, Mount St. Helens is giving signs that another violent eruption will soon occur. Now, like I said, I mean, you could substitute this with what the kids come up with, like the California fires instead of this, just by changing the picture in the slideshow, which you could do for yourself. Okay, I'm going to put you in breakout groups. First job is to pick the one scenario you want to do. The second thing, you'll have 5 minutes to do. You are going to create a press release to the public that reflects the leadership qualities that you said you wanted the president to have. And you are going to read that to us when you come back in. So you want to project the kind of leader that will handle the kind of crisis that you pick. Do you have any questions about what the job is? Okay. I'm going to put you into some breakout rooms again. I pressured you for time again, I'm sure. So who's going to be the press secretary for room number 1?
That's me.
Hi, Janice.
Hi. So, okay. So we talked about what we went with was the infrastructure problem with the brown water. So we have my fellow Americans, we are facing a huge challenge that is immediately, this isn't right, this isn't read well. My fellow Americans, we are facing a huge challenge that immediately involves 2,500 of our citizens. We've dispatched the National Guard to provide bottled water, and we're sending experts to the area to identify and remediate the issue. We've also directed such and such agency to look around the country to identify other vulnerable areas. Thank you for your support. That's as far as we got.
I didn't give you much time, so that's good. Who's the press secretary for the other group, group 2?
I am, and the press secretary is now fired because we didn't get far enough to actually draft the actual statement. We were kind of discussing messaging and relation to the characteristics. So we got a tagline, we got the top line, all hands on deck. And that was as far as we got, but we discussed the need for a display of empathy of the victims. And we also discussed a need to show that you're communicating out and will continue to communicate out during the emergency and after the emergency, as well as communicating in. How will you bring in people that were impacted to, make sure you hear what they need and communicate, that way. So, the two-way communication. And Rosemary has more to add.
You're muted, Rosemary.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say our crisis was the fires.
Okay, California fires. Good.
Yes, that was
Great.
our crisis.
I think both of you did a good job. Even though you didn't get the words down in group 2, you still had the concepts that you were going to try to include. With kids, we give them 5 minutes and emphasize the fact afterwards that people in the government need to respond really quickly to crises like that. They can't take a lot of time. They've got to know what their perception is, what their view is about how to handle the situation that comes up. But it's a lot of fun. And if you
One of our group members left us.
Oh, well, she was on her. She's leaving the country. That's how she's going to solve the problem.
Because of the fire.
Yeah. So, okay. Questions and answers. Let's go back to the very end, and I'm going to ask you if you will respond to me in a feedback form, because I'm curious to know your reactions to the 2 different versions of it, first of all, as well as just general feelings about whether this is something that you think is worth teaching and that you would be happy to teach. Now I'm looking for my chat box again. There it is. Here's the link. And if you'd go to that feedback form, if the link is there.
It's not a link.
Not opening. Hang on. Let me. Try it again. Okay, let's see. That should work. Your participation and your patience today. I am upset that I kept losing the screen, but I'll figure that out and it won't happen again. That is one of the reasons why we never send anybody in by themselves, because if you both have your screen up, you can just flip over and the other person can pick up where you left off. So that's, like I said, we don't let you walk alone. So, but today I did, and today it showed. So but thank you. And like I said, I'll stay on until all of you have had a chance to respond, but thank you for coming.
Well, I would like to say thank you to you for taking the time, all this every day, taking the time to sit through and go through these various programs. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
I agree with Rosemary. Definitely agree with
Yes,
Rosemary.
me too. Thank you, Pat.
Oh, you're all making me feel great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an amazing program. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it evolves as you go through the years presenting it here in Jersey.
Yeah,